to Coffee and Conversation. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Sika.
And today's coffee is called Mush Up. I am drinking it in a My Hero Academia cup, and you're looking at me funny, but yes, there are mushrooms embedded into this coffee, like lion's mane. Not the other mushrooms.
What kind of mushrooms are you having for coffee?
Not the other mushrooms you're thinking about, but yeah, this is coffee that you can get at these very fancy coffee places. So there's different ones that help with energy, other ones with memory, and then other ones, I don't know much about mushrooms. I just know they're good for you and you can get it in your coffee, so why not?
I've literally never heard of that coffee.
You've never heard of that before?
Nope.
It's really good. It doesn't taste like anything.
Nah, I don't know.
It really doesn't.
I don't want to taste it.
You don't want to taste
No.
it? It's not like you're drinking a stew. You know what I mean? Milk with stew. Well, that could be a cream of mushroom, right? People put milk with mushroom anyways. Why would that be an issue? I don't understand if that's an issue.
With coffee?
No, but I'm saying like if you were to put cream.
That's fine.
Right?
But I mean with coffee?
But it doesn't taste like mushroom is what
like,
I'm saying.
If you have like a cream of mushroom and you just put coffee in it?
Yeah, that would probably be gross.
That's what I'm thinking.
But there's also cooks who put like chocolate and cocoa in different kinds of foods that you normally wouldn't think of, like in stew. I don't think I've ever had cocoa in my bœuf bourguignon. You seem hesitant.
I don't know how I feel about all this food talk. It doesn't sound okay.
It doesn't sound, I was like, no, too much creativity. No.
Like coffee and bacon. What is it? Chocolate and bacon is good. It's sweet and salty.
I don't think I've ever had chocolate and bacon before.
Good.
Have I?
Probably not, no.
You need to hook me up with chocolate and bacon.
It's delicious. Like, you just get, like, super crispy bacon. You just dip it in chocolate and let it dry out.
Oh, homemade chocolate and bacon.
Yeah.
You just did that. On your own.
With our brother?
Interesting.
You'll have to ask Jason.
Okay, I'm gonna... Jason, we'll talk later. Today's topic is not food.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. Today's topic is actually past relationships. And it might seem like a surprise, probably, but I've had way more relationships.
How's that a surprise?
Because you're the cuter one.
Yeah.
No!
Wow, okay, I see where this is going already.
No, I'm saying because you're the cuter one.
Yeah, whatever.
I just had more past relationship experiences. So I think Sika's going to end up probably commenting
on yours.
On mine more so than anything. But just to be clear, my first... Okay, so let's start with my first boyfriend. And I was in grade 11. That was the first time I had... We're not talking like puppy love, because if we're talking puppy love, the first time I had a quote-unquote boyfriend...
You were like, what, 6?
Yeah, like in kindergarten, right? And he was this kid who had just transferred to our elementary school, and he was Russian. And I remember him clearly because he had blonde hair to the point where it was white.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I remember his dad was so tall, he had to bend over to get through doors.
Wow.
That's all I remember, because obviously as a kid...
Yeah, they look tall, right? So you have to look up. Yeah. Everyone looks tall.
Everyone looks like a giant, but yeah, and I think his name was Lazar.
Never heard that name before.
Yeah, so that if we're talking puppy love, I was so sad because they moved back to Russia.
Oh, wow.
So there was no contact. I remember this one letter I received from Russia when they moved back, and it was a picture from the outside of their house, and it was just the top of different balconies.
He actually sent you a letter? That's so cute.
Yeah, but
wow.
I don't remember if we sent a letter back.
Probably not.
I just don't remember that. So technically that is my first puppy love, but I never really had an actual relationship until grade 11. Until grade 11.
I don't think I know.
So Sec 5.
I don't think I know about this relationship.
Well, it was an online relationship.
Okay.
You do know the person.
Okay.
So for this sake, the name is very standard, so no one's really going to know who that person is because it's such a generic name. Joe.
Oh, I thought that was like later. I didn't know it was in Sec 5.
Yeah,
For some reason it was later in my mind.
No, it started in grade 11, and it
Okay.
was someone I met through this chat app called ICQ.
Oh
So
my God.
old. It was really such a... It's
Way to go and give up your age.
I know. But people still use it today.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't seen ICQ in a long time.
It's still being used, and we were both into Dragon Ball, and I found him through the name of one of the characters, Piccolo, and I was Vegeta, and we just started to chat, and then a relationship kind of formed online, and we just kind of really got into each other. And it was, I think, probably one of the most innocent relationships.
I liked him. He was a cool guy.
Yeah, he was a really cool guy. Holy crap, like, his humor was really fun. He was so energetic.
He was also very tall. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because he looked like a giant to me. I was like, wow, so tall.
He was 6'6".
Yeah.
And I'm 5 foot. So when we were hanging out, let's backtrack. So we got to know each other. We really kind of fell in love. And so he decided to come and visit. He lives in the US. I'm not going to say what state because
that's none of your business.
It's not. I just don't want to out anyone. I'm just going to say, looking back at what he looks like, I think the best I can describe him, and I feel really bad saying that, but he does look a little bit like Jake Paul.
I don't know who that is.
Is that YouTuber who's like always in controversial things?
I don't know who that is.
He's a terrible person. But my ex, Joe, looks very much so like him.
I don't know what he looks like.
You want to see what Jake... Yeah, so just take your phone and go ahead and
My phone's not next to me.
Oh, no.
Do you have your phone?
Get my phone. I'll show you who Jake Paul looks like. And you'll see that they look really similar. I feel like people in the US in that specific area might look quite similar. So here, I'll give you this. You can type in Jake Paul. And so my ex was not Jake Paul. He was sweet. He was kind. He was extremely...
He does not... Oh, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
In some of the pictures, maybe, No, he was cuter.
Yeah, but...
From what I remember, I don't know, I was like...
But there's somewhat of a similarity. Oh, you're looking at the boxing pictures.
I just wrote Jake Paul and just kind of scrolled through all the pics.
Okay, yeah, but there's this kind of look.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right?
Yeah, just a little.
I know.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. But yeah, there's this Jake Paul look, and I cringe just at the fact that there's this association with someone called Jake Paul.
But he was a nice guy, from what I remember.
Guy. Yeah, super, super nice guy. Very fun. So let's just keep going with this first relationship. So he decided to come and visit here in Canada, despite the fact that his parents said don't. Because, I mean, we're both under 18. Yeah, we're both teenagers. And he saved up his money and he's like, I'm going to come and visit. And I had no idea what to do at the time. I was already living away from our dad. So we weren't living under the same roof.
But it's still awkward.
It was still awkward because he was going to come and stay with us in the apartment. But one thing led to another. He came here, we clicked, we hit it off, and you liked him a lot.
I loved him.
Yeah, he was just...
He was cool.
He's so fun-loving and just quirky and did the most ADHD things. And we know because we're ADHD as well.
I remember once we went... And this is like one of the only memories that really stuck with me, that we went to a Walmart with him. We bought candy. And I just remember that. That's all I remember.
Do you remember any of the events?
No, just we bought candy with him. And I was like, I love this guy. We buy candy together. Like,
I remember this one event where he he sat on a wheelchair in one of the Walmarts. And then he just stood up in the middle of an aisle. And he goes, Jesus healed me.
Oh,
and
no.
he started running. He was so quirky. And he also did martial arts. And I think that for me was
a big thing.
It was a big thing. I always told myself I want to be with a martial arts because I did karate since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I wanted someone who did martial arts too.
Someone who shared the same passion as you did.
Yeah, and he did taekwondo and I did karate and we trained together and it clicked. But one thing led to another. He had quite the adventure here because our dad did not approve of me having a relationship.
Dad doesn't approve of much.
No, he does not approve. Being a traditional Egyptian man, the fact that we can have boyfriends
doesn't make sense.
Made no sense. It was wrong.
Yeah.
It was immoral.
It's you get married and that's
Yeah.
That's it.
You're not supposed to have boyfriends. You're supposed to have
A
fiance.
husband.
Yeah. Skip some steps. Just go straight to husband mode. But yeah, and we got into so many arguments with my dad about Joe being such a genuine person. And you know what? I still ended up having my way. Despite the fact that our dad tried to have his way.
Father.
Not a teenager anymore, so I can talk about this. And yeah, we had a long distance relationship for 3 years. He was also my first kiss. And it was in the cutest way possible. And it was really in a stressful situation too, because our dad had just come to the apartment where we were at, and he said, "What are you guys doing? You shouldn't be left alone together," etc., etc. So then he scolded us both. And then he left the apartment, but then continued scolding our brothers for not making sure that I was pure. You know how the Egyptian mentality is.
God.
But then at that moment, while our dad was at the door scolding our brothers, Joe looks at me. He's like, "You're so cute. Can I kiss you?"
That's adorable.
And then I looked at him, but he was shaking.
Of course. He just got yelled at by someone else's father.
Yeah. And then he just kissed me then. And he's like, "I'm so glad you didn't punch me." He thought I was going to punch him after this kiss. So he was my first kiss.
That's cute.
And I honestly could not have asked probably for a gentler first boyfriend. Especially hearing all the horror stories that my friends had gone through in high school with manipulative boyfriends and possessive boyfriends and so on and so forth. It's probably easier anyways when it's long distance to not have someone possessive.
Yeah, because then they want to impress you all the time, right? So they have to be on their best behavior always, whereas someone that you're always close to, they can kind of turn into the real them quite quickly.
Yeah, that's basically what it is for my first experience and boyfriend. So I didn't get into the game very early, but then after that I had quite a few interests going along. Do you remember anything else? We ended up breaking it off after the 3rd year just because it was getting really difficult, even though he did give me a promise ring.
Oh, that's cute. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, he gave me a promise ring because he showed up here twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you ever go? You never went to the States to see him?
No, I never went to the U.S. to see him because it was tricky back then to do anything with our dads.
That's true, yeah.
Watchful eye. Even though we did keep a lot of relationships secret from him.
Yep.
Well, if he's listening to this is the first time he's hearing about a lot of things. And do you remember your first kiss?
It was like so long ago, honestly.
Sometimes these things just happen out of the blue. So for me, that's what it is. If it comes to you, you can definitely say it.
I think I was 15 when it first happened.
Was it with that?
Yeah.
With that kid?
Yeah, the one you didn't like.
No. Okay, yeah. You know what?
You didn't like.
Okay, I want you to say, how did you meet? Or say a little bit about...
We went to school together.
Yeah.
So, he was in a grade below me. He was in a grade below me. Mm-hmm. He was younger than me. By a year.
Yeah, 1 year?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 1 year younger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about a year. I was 15. Mm-hmm. And he was 14.
He was. But, I mean, he was super outgoing.
Yeah.
He had a lot of friends.
He was super into, parkour. He was, the popular kid in his grade, too. All the girls oh, my God. And I was like, it was super random for me. I went to a party, and I met him, and I was like, who's he? He's so cute. And I remember that party...
And he had abs for a 15-year-old. He was really cut.
Yeah, he had really nice abs. All the girls were always touching him
oh my gosh.
So nice.
And he was okay with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he loved it.
He loved it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because I remember when you met him and you're
you did not like him at all.
Well, because so Sika said, "I want you to meet my sister." I was like, okay. She told him, "I want you to meet my sister," and then she told me, "I want you to meet my boyfriend." I was like, okay, I want to know who that is. I want to see who that boyfriend is. And then I go to meet him. And then Sika goes...
He was so nonchalant.
Not only was
kind of like a head bob, you're like, hey, my name is Jackie. And he's like, Sup?
Yeah, it was just like a head bob. And then
Yeah.
Sika was like, my sister's here to meet you. And he's like, what's the point?
I don't remember that.
He said, c'est quoi le but, sti?
I don't remember.
That's exactly his words. Like, I remember clearly because he said it. And I was so shocked. Like, who says, what's the point?
He was 14. Relax.
I know, but still, as a 14-year-old, you still want to impress the adults or the grown-ups that are around.
He didn't have many grown-ups in his life, so...
So from that moment on, I just did not like him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't put any effort in getting to know me, even though I came out of my way to meet him at the metro station.
Yeah, I remember the metro station,
Yeah, I was at the metro station. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll take the bus. It was like about a 20-minute bus ride.
Yeah, 15, 20 minutes.
15, 20-minute bus ride to come and say hello and then go back like another 15, 20 minutes. It's like 40-ish minutes detour plus meeting him. I thought was going to like be 20, 30 minutes or something like that. No, it was basically like...
He cut to the point.
Yeah.
Sup.
Sup. You don't want to get to know my sister? What's the point? That totally threw me off. So he was your first kiss.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the setting? Was it at the park?
It was at the party.
It was at the...
at
the party.
Yeah, it was a party that Dad didn't want me to go to.
Oh no. How'd you get into it?
You lied for me.
I always lied for you.
Yeah, we went to the pool, remember? We were going to the pool that day.
Oh yeah.
We went to the Ectome.
Holy crap. Like we really covered for each other.
Yeah. Yeah, you were like, oh, we're going to go swimming. And Dad's like, yeah, I guess. And then I just went to the party.
And the thing is, I think Dad caught on because he's like, don't you hate swimming for me?
Yeah, because you don't like the smell of like chlorine and everything. Yeah. Just, hang with my sis.
I'll hang out and whatever.
Hanging with my sis.
Where did I go since I had to be out? Probably,
I
don't know where I may have gone. No idea. But anyways, yeah, I did cover for her. We did do a lot of that in our days. Now, less cute relationships for me. I had the next boyfriend that I had after my first boyfriend was someone I met at camping at Kinkora. Do you remember Kinkora?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
used
used to go...
Kinkora. I miss it so much.
I know. I went there to work for a whole summer, and then sometimes Sika would come and hang out.
For like weeks at a time.
Yeah,
I was there for like
time.
3 weeks at a time. I was your bunker buddy.
Yeah, you were my bunker buddy. And for that camp, it was a stay camp. So I was there for the entire summer, all 2 weeks. And I may have gone back home.
2 weeks?
2 months, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, it's...
No, I was there for 2 months. And then maybe once a month or once every 3 weeks, I would go back home just to go say hi and then come back.
Or we would come up to you. We went a few times as well.
Yeah,
and then Dad would just leave me there.
Yeah, that's true. And then they would come and pick you up after.
Yeah.
After a few weeks.
After a few weeks, yeah.
Yeah, just drop us off together.
You were there, you were a kitchen staff at first, I think, right?
Yeah, so I used to be a kitchen staff at that camp, but I hated it because we would start every day at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And end our day around maybe 7 p.m. And we were paid below minimum wage for being a kitchen staff. And I remember hating it so much because I never had a chance to actually explore the campsite. Being outdoors was my thing.
You eventually became maintenance, I think, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you have a good memory. I did become part of maintenance, so I started doing painting and fencing and chopping wood and bringing different kinds of firewood to different fire pits at the different campsites. And I loved it. Cleaning around the campsite. So I was outdoors.
I miss it so much. Like, I just want to go
memories.
back.
I wonder if it would be the same. Probably nowadays. We had really good memories of Camp Kinkora.
We used to get up in the morning. It was like super cold and like foggy. And then right after breakfast, it was like hot outside. It was such a weird weather, but it was so nice.
The mist.
Yeah.
Right on top of the lake.
And it was super chilly in the morning. Every morning, super cold.
Yeah, sweater weather.
Yeah. And then you get out from breakfast and it's like nice and toasty.
Yeah.
Water slides ready.
Oh my God. Yeah, I miss camping so much. That's probably one of the first things I'm going to do as soon as my back is good again, is go camping again. And that's where I met Andrew.
I remember Andrew.
Do you remember him?
Yeah.
What do you remember of Andrew?
I remember him, and I remember him at camp. Is he the one that jumped off our balcony?
Yeah. Yes, he's the one who jumped off our balcony.
Because of Dad, right?
Yes.
Second story balcony.
Yeah, so I was back then also still pretty innocent. Remember, like, I've only up to that point had
Your first kiss.
my first kiss, nothing further than that. So when I was camping, I also had just finished, I think, the novel called The Call of the Wild, where it's a story about a wolf. Have you ever read that story?
No.
So I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it's about the Call of the Wild and wolf and whatnot. Now, Andrew was a great example of someone super outdoorsy and in touch with nature and just that kind of person. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want someone who's into nature and camping because I'm into nature and camping. And there were some red flags I probably should have known.
Like what? Because I don't remember much of him. I was still very young at the time, too.
Yeah, well, I was pretty young, too, so I didn't know what red flags to look for. But now, in hindsight, obviously, I can tell the
Now
red
you can
flags.
see it, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, he's into nature and all that. But he was always walking so far ahead of me. In the forests.
Okay.
So we weren't walking together. Like, he was always, like, showing off his
Capabilities.
skills, capabilities, would just jump into the lake. I was like, oh my god, he's so like nature guy, wow. But no, he was just showing off all the time. But then again, I mean, that's what teenagers do.
Yep.
So he was really
I mean, the guy I dated was like doing parkour over buildings and stuff at the age of 14.
oh my god.
Yeah, just like flipping off of like slides and stuff. I was like, what? That's normal at that age, right? You just want to be like, hey, I'm macho. Look at me go.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when you look at it in nature, technically, the male species is the one out there to impress the female. I mean,
Yeah.
look at all these birds doing all these dances,
yeah,
being extra.
puffing up their feathers.
Yeah, and being super extra. So one thing led to another. We ended up kind of dating. We got really into each other while we were doing like surveillance. What's it called? You know, when you're making sure that everyone is asleep in their cabin and no one's like leaving their cabins at night.
I guess it's kind of like security.
Yeah, security duty at night. And that's part of maintenance's job is you kind of patrolling. There you go. So we would patrol through one cabin to another to make sure that everyone's there. And we kind of like decided, hey, we're kind of into each other. So we made it official. And it was near the end of camping. So we had to come back to normal life. And when I tell you that you have this culture shock from going to camping where everyone's happy and singing songs at night and then coming back to the city, there was a culture shock.
It's definitely a shock.
Yeah, it's a culture shock.
I used to get super like depressed when I used to leave camp and have to go back to school and all that too. So
yeah, it was just so nice because meals were ready for you, nice and hot, and you know you would do activities.
You meet people.
Yeah,
super crazy.
And just 2 months in nature was just amazing. So we came back here and we started, going on hikes.
Yeah.
To the mountains here in Montreal. And still, again, the same thing. He was always running so far away and all that stuff. And we still, we kissed. But then he displayed an issue that I had never seen at camp, which is alcoholism. And just to be clear, yes, just to be clear.
I didn't know it was Andrew.
Oh, yeah, he's severely.
I thought it was Gordy.
Mm-mm.
Because I used to mix him and Gordy up.
Oh, Gordy. Yeah, Gordy is another person.
I loved Gordy.
Gordy
we used to
hilarious.
Play games all the time together.
Yeah, he was a great guy, but he couldn't
He's the one
keep
with the
his
super curly hair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he couldn't keep his alcohol. And just to be clear, here in Canada, the legal age is 18.
Yeah.
In the US, it's 21 for drinking. So when we say teenager, 18 is allowed to drink by law. But Andrew had an issue. He would drink at like 10 in the morning.
Oh, no.
And he wanted to get me into drinking at 10 in the morning. So when I would go to school, before school, he would bring me to like these 24-hour pubs and offered me a Long Island iced tea.
Those are delicious.
And I was like, I'm not going to drink before school.
That's really hard alcohol, though, in the morning. Long Island iced teas.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to drink. He's like, look, I'm doing it too.
Doesn't make it
So
okay,
he had
dude.
a Guinness. So despite the fact that he was actually buying me those drinks, I never drank them. So he was wasting his money, but he was really pushing me.
He wants to have someone like him to enjoy the things he's enjoying, but he's not. I don't think he realized that that's not something you should be doing even as an adult, just
And it's just not me. Like, I like the nature fact, but I think he wanted...
A party person.
Yeah, but he had ulterior motives from what I found out later on. Because afterwards, he brought me to his place.
Okay.
You see where this is going?
Okay.
And he really wanted us to do the do.
And he was drunk too?
Yeah, and he was drunk and he was
You don't want to do that with someone drunk.
And the worst thing is, it was my first time going to his place, and it was gross. The mattress was torn on the floor. Like, and it wasn't even like a mattress. It was maybe 3 inches.
Like those foam thingies?
Yeah, the foam things. There was like bottles all over the ground.
Wow, so he actually had a huge issue then.
Yeah, he had a huge problem. And he was still living with his dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and his dad was just not there in his life. So it was a mess.
So he had issues that he needed to deal with, that he was basically just drinking away, which is pretty sad.
And I kept saying no, and he kept pushing. And I said no, so I left. And I found out that same day, because his best friend told me, that same day, he cheated on me.
Wow.
So he went and found someone, because then in that case, he's not really interested in me as a person.
No, he just wants a body.
Yeah, at that point. So we ended up breaking it off. But of course, there was the incident of the balcony.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened. I remember pieces of it, but I don't remember.
So from time to time, he would come over and hang out. But we were so worried about our dad finding out, that as soon as he found out that because my dad would just show up.
Yeah, he never called.
Yeah, he never
just
called,
showed up,
never let us know. He just walks into the apartment because he had a key to the apartment. So he just walked in. And the second we heard our dad's voice,
everyone's eyes must have opened like, oh.
Yeah, we're like,
yeah.
Like, yeah. Cool.
Dude, you gotta run.
So he ran, like, he opened
the balcony door
and jumped off
the second story.
We were on the second floor, and he jumped
into snow. Wasn't it into snow?
I think it was. It was
during winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember that. I remember that.
Like, you remember?
I remember that.
Who the heck jumps off the second floor? It didn't have
Andrew.
To be, yeah, but it didn't have to be that dramatic.
No, but he was dramatic. Like, I remember it happening, but I just don't remember why it had happened. Like, what exactly went through his mind to be like, oh, I'm just going to jump off this second story floor. Like, ciao.
Yeah, and he just left. Like, he went back home after that. I guess that's not an easy thing to deal with, is when you know your current girlfriend has very possessive daddy syndrome.
Dads, yeah.
What do you want to call it? Like Arab dad syndrome or something.
Pretty much what it is.
Yeah, it just didn't work out. We were just two completely different people outside
of camp.
So I think that's one of the other reasons why most relationships don't work in the show The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Well, it's because it's completely different. You're put into a certain, I guess, circumstance.
Yeah.
And then you, like, you feel sheltered, you feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then once the barriers, or I guess you can say those training wheels are removed, you're in reality hits. And then you're like, oh, okay, we're really not the same people, you know? So. Yeah,
you're sheltered and you're in that, what's that word?
Honeymoon?
Superficial environment.
Okay, yeah.
You're in
a honeymoon phase.
Yeah, honeymoon phase, superficial environment. I feel like if The Bachelor and The Bachelorette had a more realistic approach to how they did in Terrace House. Are you familiar with the show Terrace House?
No.
So Terrace House is also a kind of living together show, but it takes place in Japan for the most part. And they take, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 3 or 4 men, 3 or 4 women. They live in separate parts of the house, but they still live together.
Okay.
They just have the women's room and then they have the men's room. But it's not a superficial environment where you can't leave. Everyone can still go to their job. They can go to school.
Yeah, because then you're still living, your life is just in a different area, right?
Exactly.
So your whole life isn't put on hold to do this, and then you have to go back to real life and readjust.
Right. It's communal living.
Yeah.
You're still doing the communal living thing, but real. Yeah. So whoever falls in love is still falling in love in real time.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a smarter way to go about it.
Yeah, I think if that were the case, that would have been probably better for that show, probably higher success rates. Mind you, though, in Terrace House, fewer people fall in love because they're not put in that superficial environment. Yeah. So they might have a crush, but they don't actually make it official at that point. So, yeah, that was a bad experience for me with Andrew. I've never seen him since.
Have you heard from him?
I have not heard from him since. So I have no idea.
Hopefully he's not an alcoholic anymore.
I hope not, but from what I know is that even his best friend at the time told me that he was too much for him. Oof. So they stopped becoming best friends. So, and it was just so toxic to the best friend that he left.
That's sad.
Yeah. So, and his best friend now moved completely out of province. So he's not even, wow. And I kept in touch with his best friends. We actually became really good friends and went camping together.
I don't think I know that person.
I'm not going to say any names because then that at that point people are going to start making associations. But yeah, we started going camping and we just hung out. It was purely platonic. There were no feelings. I was helping him with his girlfriend at the time and whatnot. So it was super, super platonic, super cool guy. Really got along with him. But yeah, it was interesting. I like how you remember
him jumping off the balcony.
Yeah. It was so funny.
Kind of shocking when you're my age at that time. I was like, oh,
yeah.
What is this, like a movie action thing going on? Like,
it was so dramatic.
It was
like,
really
dude,
dramatic.
Like, calm down.
Yeah.
So like I said, I have a little bit more exposure experience. I don't know if you remember much about the next one, which is Seiji.
Yes, I loved him.
You remember?
Yes, he was so adorable.
I know. Okay, so backstory here. Seiji is...
You were together for a couple of years too, no?
For a year.
Oh, I thought it was 3 years.
No, I think we were together for only 1 year. So here's the backstory.
He's from LA, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, now I
remember. You're remembering. So we can probably say a little bit more about Seiji because it's a little... I think it's hard. It's going to be harder to know who I'm talking about. For anyone who's listening, Seiji, if you hear this for any reason whatsoever, hi. I'm happily married. No, thank you. But, so, like I said, I was into karate. Still am. I mean, I have it tattooed on my body. I wish I could do it again. And I went back to the idea that I wanted a martial artist because I had a good experience with my first boyfriend, right? So, after a tournament... Are you okay? You're like really into the story.
Yeah, I
am. So after a tournament, there was this Japanese guy who was training and fighting also, and I was fighting also in the full contact tournament. And a full contact tournament is basically knockout tournament, no equipments, and basically the only rules are don't kick, in between the legs and don't punch directly to the face. But you can kick the face. It's knockout.
Is that where you got your bloody lip from? Is that same tournament?
It was the tournament after that one. Okay. Yeah, it was the tournament after the bloody lip incident.
The bloody lip incident.
And I just, at the after party, so after fighters do a tournament, there's an after party where all the fighters get together and we just talk and we chat and we eat. And it's a camaraderie. There's no malice. There's no anger after a tournament, even if you beat each other up. I mean, it's just friendship. That's what I loved about karate. And I just... saw him and there was sparks. Like there was a connection there. And he
was much older, no?
Yeah, 10 years older.
Yeah.
So he was 10 years older and there was just I think that's what they call chemistry. Like you just meet someone and you're like
head over heels.
Really into this guy. And he was really into me, but he was like tipsy at the time too. So we just chatted a little bit and then we parted ways, but we exchanged numbers and we just continued to talk long distance.
I just realized you had a lot of long distance relationships.
I did. And the one that was like not long distance did not work out well with Andrew. So the next one was long distance with Seiji. And it went really well. We just talked almost every day. And then I decided I was going to meet up with him in New York because there was another tournament. So I went to New York and he was fighting there and we just met up and again, chemistry, and he was just...
He used to spoil you, no?
He spoiled me wrong, but he spoiled me more when I went to visit him back in LA. So in New York, that's when like sparks flew. And I could not have asked for like a nicer person to just treat me super nice. We didn't do anything, for those of you wondering. We actually didn't do the deed back in New York, but we did click, and it was just absolutely wonderful. And then a few months later, I wanted to do something called an ushi-deshi, which in the karate culture is when you live in as a student at another karate school in order to basically advance in your art. So, and it just so happens that his teacher is the one who ran the program.
That's so funny.
So it was really awesome that I had the chance to go to LA, train with the actual Japanese team in LA for karate, and I learned so much. I became such a much better fighter over there. And that's when I guess we made it official.
It wasn't official before this?
It was official in terms of a relationship, but we hadn't done the deed.
Okay.
Until then.
Okay.
So it was consensual, it was sweet. It was just endearing. And then after that, all he did was spoil me.
Did he ask you if you wanted to go rest?
That's what they say in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to go rest?
Do you want to go rest?
Do you want to go rest? So they're not forthcoming, I guess is the word. They're not direct.
Yeah.
But no, he was very sweet. It just happened as it did. And I really hope Dad's not listening to this. But yeah, that's what happened in LA, Dad. Karate, but also other things. Yeah, it was just such a great experience, I would have to say. I have nothing but good memories from that time. But then afterwards, I moved back here, and things were just not that great for us being so far apart, especially knowing that there weren't going to be any
changes,
tournaments either.
Oh, okay.
No tournaments that were coming up until, I would say, maybe six to 8 months. So it made it even more difficult.
And he didn't want to move here.
No, I don't think he wanted to move. And I didn't want to move to the US. So we politely broke it off. No animosity, none whatsoever. And you want to hear something funny? He recently contacted me.
I was going to ask you if you've heard of him.
Yeah, he recently contacted me maybe 2 years ago.
What'd you say?
And he asked if I wanted to come and hang out with him and meet him up at the hotel.
Oh, no!
Uh-huh.
Where you're like, I'm married.
I'm married. I'm like, I'm married happily. So, no.
Thanks, but no.
Thanks, but no. I have only good memories, so we're going to keep it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's interesting that he hasn't forgotten after all these years.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. So, yeah, how do you've never met him, though.
Seiji?
Yeah.
I've met Seiji.
When, though? I don't remember that.
He's come here, no, before?
Yeah, for tournaments. I think once or twice.
I used to go to your tournaments.
That's true. He was nothing but polite. I mean...
He seems super adorable.
Yeah, he bought me, like, clothes,
Yeah,
too.
I remember he used to buy you dresses, and
yeah.
I think he bought you, like, heels at one point, too.
Yeah, he's like, do you want to dress, like... And it was not even...
Like, sexual. It was really just, like, here, look cute.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna go out. Do you want to, like, wear something different? And his friend owned a boutique, and she had already closed, but she opened the door for us after hours to go into the boutique and just buy stuff. So it was like, I was like a poupée, like a little doll.
That's adorable.
Dressed up. And then we went out, but we had barbecue ribs. Like, I was dressed up.
In a dress, like...
It's like, how do I eat without ruining my clothing? But yeah, I have only good memories from that one. And then the next one.
That one.
That one was bad.
That one was bad.
Mm-hmm.
That one was really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Whoops. Dropped my water. I dropped my water. So yeah, it was bad. That relationship...
I think that relationship for you is probably the same thing I had with that one relationship too.
Yeah.
That was serious for me. It was just all bad experience.
Do you want me to start that one, or do you want to go ahead and start?
Because I know.
You want me to start to take the lead on that one?
Yeah, go for it.
I think we're now getting into toxic relationships.
Yeah. I've only had toxic relationships except for my husband now. Who's a sweetheart,
But they say you have to go through that one toxic relationship sometime to find the good one. And for me, that last relationship that I had prior to meeting Pat was
Disgusting.
the most toxic relationship. It started out well, as most of them do.
Well, yeah, they have a front, right? They keep a front.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say any names for this one.
It's not a very common name.
No, it's not a very common name. And it's just, I'm not even going to say from where we met or anything like that. But he was nice. He was, at first, very nice, very, let's just call him Josh. No, it's too close to Joe.
Tommy.
Okay, let's go with Tommy. So Tommy, like I'm even thinking about it now is making me nervous. Like that's how bad. Like this guy scarred me. And police were involved.
Yep.
Stalking was involved.
Yep. Same relationship here, remember?
Yeah. And I was just scared for my life. For an entire...
It was a long relationship too,
Yeah, we were together for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, we did end up having a long distance relationship, but we saw each other often enough. And again, sweet, very nice at first, but then the secrets and the red flags were
It's okay,
starting.
I punched him once, it's fine.
You punched him?
Yeah, I remember in my sleep.
Oh yeah, apparently it's true. You did punch him in your sleep. Revenge.
He deserved it. We didn't know, but he deserved it.
We didn't know at the time, but
didn't know.
Subliminal messages in your
Exactly.
sleep. It's funny because I'm stuttering
Yeah.
at this story. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, no. That's how I feel about the other one. For
Yeah.
me too. We both had pretty bad relationships.
It was
That were very
probably-
toxic with stalking and cops being involved. And
Yeah. And the thing is,
all
like,
that.
because he was very smart, he knew
It
to
was hard
hack
to-
into my computer.
Yeah, it was
too.
hard to pinpoint.
Okay, so let me start somewhere in the story. So we were together for about a year-ish until secrets started coming up. It was more the idea of, hey, do I want to move there? Do you want to move here? Because again, he was in the US. And
You kind of think for Americans.
yeah, it seems so. But they were all like, I don't have a type.
Mm.
Because they were all very different from each other.
Different nationality and everything
Yeah,
too.
I've dated, like, I guess everything from, like, Caucasian to Asian.
Yep, that's basically everything.
Yeah,
And then-
basically.
Basically. And then your husband, Polish.
Yeah, Polish, so Eastern European. And
I stuck mostly to Native American.
Yeah, that's true.
Native American and Latinos.
Yeah, and your husband currently is half.
He's white.
Isn't he half?
No.
Doesn't he have some Native in him?
No,
No?
not at all.
Oh, I thought he was...
Alex is 100% Quebecois.
Okay, so he's like pure
He's
laine.
pure laine.
He's pure laine French
Yeah.
Quebecer.
Yeah.
And by the way, for those of you wondering, we will eventually introduce you to our husbands.
Yep.
We're hoping to have like a 4-way podcast.
And we think we will be talking, I think, about how we met.
Yeah, I think that's going to be funny because we have different perspectives
Definitely.
of those days. So it's going to be interesting to see that.
Funny enough, Pat came to Concora, so he's a familiar,
Yeah,
remember?
yeah, he's familiar with all that. So but that's going to be a whole other topic.
Podcast.
Okay, so let's get back to, what did we call
Tommy.
him? Tommy.
I almost said his real name.
Oh, no, don't. So back to Tommy. So when we talked about who would move where, suddenly there were these talks of debts. And I was like, what do you mean debts? Like, what debts do you have? And he's like, don't worry about it.
That's not sketchy.
I'm like, well, how much are you in debt by? He's like, if I tell you, you're going to worry about it. I'm like, can you give me a ballpark? Like, is it like 10 grand? And he's like, no. I'm like, 30 grand? He said, no. Is it like 50 grand? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. So it must have been over
Around,
50 grand
Yeah.
of debt. And he wouldn't even tell me why either. So, and he was at the time also unemployed. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen back then. But anyways, one thing led to another. We ended up together for 3-ish years. And the idea of who's going to, he said he was going to move here. But it never, there was no steps to coming here. So I'm like, you know what?
It was all talk.
It was all talk. And this whole secrecy of debts thing was just getting to me.
Sketchy, yeah.
Yeah. And then there were talks of him starting back school over there. So I'm like, okay, so when is this happening? So I was just not into it anymore. And I was trying to tell him, like, maybe we should go our separate ways. And that's when things went really south. Like, they were already going not so great because everything he was saying was pissing me off. It didn't matter what. If he said,
yeah, hit the fan.
Yeah. So it's like I'm trying to go back in sequence, but everything is so muddy from that time. When I said, you know what, maybe we should break it off. Then suddenly, mysteriously, someone got a hold of my account for chat. Someone I never added but knew my account. And it was a girl who was interested in Tommy. Basically, it was him trying to make me jealous about him.
I feel like our exes knew each other.
Somehow. Like, your ex also pretended to be someone else.
My ex also pretended he had cancer.
Yeah, that's true. And pretended that one of your cats died.
Yep. To manipulate me.
Yeah, to manipulate you. So in my case, he was trying to manipulate me into thinking there was another girl in the equation and that he got into a car accident.
Oh, what the fuck, man? Why are men stupid like that?
I don't
like,
know. This, like, stalker energy is intense. So he ended up, I asked him about this other person. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But also, he's like, oh, did you see this picture? I'm like, what picture? But he sent me a file. Little did I know, in my innocent, dumb brain, that this guy sent me a keylogger virus. And
so
I opened it up.
All of your stuff.
I opened it up and he had my chat logs. He had my passwords to my bank account. So he would send chats between myself and my friend to someone else. And then still, again, had access to all my things. Was stalking me through that other person. And it was just such a mess. And then I was getting threats of death from one other person that had nothing to do with anything, but that he contacted as though I was bad talking them. It was a mess. I ended up being scared to leave the house because I thought that he was stalking me and that he would hurt me. So I saw a detective. Detective did a lot of research. I sent screenshots of death threats and everything. And they ended up contacting the authorities near Tommy and near the other person who was not even involved. And they told him that if they didn't stop, that I would press charges. Everything stopped since then. But in order to be safe, I actually threw away my entire computer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I formatted everything, deleted my entire computer, changed all of my passwords, and never again logged into that chat app.
That's so intense.
Yeah. So, and that was a year of heck. Like,
yeah.
One
well, I remember
whole
you were
year.
so stressed.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of my health issues probably started too.
Yeah.
But luckily, at
your
that
body was too stressed.
Same exact time, I met Pat.
Yeah.
So we're not going to tell you exactly how I met Pat, but yeah, that's basically the start of my journey with Pat, is when I was at my lowest and most depressed ever. And your ex was one heck of a nightmare too, Sika.
He was psychotic.
Oh yeah, like I
don't even know where to
up and punch him.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with that one.
Well, I mean, you could just like mention some of the red flags, like I did. You know, like where he pretended to be someone else. In my case, like Tommy for me pretended to be someone else to get more intel from me.
Well, I mean, he tried to manipulate me by. He lied a lot. Mm-hmm. So the lying on its own was quite intense. Like when we broke up, I don't even know where to start. There's just so much packed there that I don't even know. But he constantly lied. So I never knew when he was actually telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And then when I broke up with him, he worked for the phone company that I was with. And he was, I guess, a supervisor over there. So when we broke up, he started harassing me by text. And then I was like, okay, well, So I called the phone company and I was like, oh, hey, can I change my phone number? I have someone who's harassing me. So they let me change my phone number, and then he got a hold of my phone number again. And that's because he worked for the company. So he was actually able to just, like, write in my name in the database, and then he was able to
He
find
was breaking rules.
Yeah.
He was breaking a lot of rules by getting a hold of you.
Yeah.
Because he was reading your text messages, though.
Yeah, he was. Because he pretended like someone I was talking to messaged him saying, like, stay away from me.
Okay.
But that person never messaged him. So he was basically messaging them off of seeing my text messages.
Oh.
So he took the phone number from my phone log, messaged them himself.
Oh, no.
And started creating shit with someone he never even met. And he was older than me.
That's illegal.
Yeah, I got him fired.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
I got him fired because basically when he got my number the second time, I called the phone company and I said, hey, my ex works for your company. And I worked for that company too, so I kind of already knew how that company worked and, like, you know, if you made any mistakes, how it was logged into the system and everything. So basically for that company, as soon as you logged into something, your name was stamped into it, even if it was a mistake. So if I went into, you know, your account by accident, my name was directly in that file, and I had to write a message to why I was in that account. So I could just write in, like, oh, wrong phone number, and then your initials, and then they can see that you were in that file for what reason. So I called the company, and I said, hey, my ex, what are we going to call him?
Let's call him Ethan.
Ethan. All right, Ethan. I have beef with you. But yeah, I basically told them, like, oh, hey, my ex, his name is Ethan, and I think he's stalking me because I changed my phone number, and now he's texting me again, and he works for you guys, so he can easily get that information. They're like, okay, let's just, like, you know, look into your file and see what we can see. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, well, his full name is, you know, and I went ahead and said his full name, and it's really hard to have that same full name because he had 4 names.
Yeah. He had a lot of middle names.
Yeah, so it's very easy to see that he was in my file. And they go, oh, okay. I'm like, what? They're like, well, yeah, his name is definitely in your account quite a bit of times. I was like, oh, okay. So he was pretty much
stalking,
going through all of my text messages with everyone.
That's, like, such a violation of privacy.
Yeah.
It's so bad when you feel like you've been
robbed of your privacy.
Yeah. But not even from just, like, an anonymous person, but someone who genuinely wants to manipulate you and harm you with that information.
Yeah. When I had told them, I was like, oh, I think, you know, my ex is stalking me, they looked into my file and they actually saw his name everywhere in my file. And they're like, okay, we're going to have to escalate this because, you know, this is against the rules. You're not supposed to be doing that. And he's like, just give me a second. I'm going to, you know, call a supervisor onto this call so we can, you know.
There's garbage outside. Excuse us for the garbage.
So basically what they did is they three-way called a supervisor in, which is really funny because when they got onto the line with me, the first guy that I was talking to goes, okay, I know this sounds really bad, but the supervisor I have, his name is Ethan. But I promise you it's not your ex, right? So,
really? Yeah. So the supervisor you got had the same name?
Same name, yeah. I was like, oh no, like, he's f***ing with me. Like, he, you know, like...
You're like, oh no, I got his friend. Yeah. Now his friend is looping him in.
Oh no, it was really something, but...
But it ended up not being
No, it wasn't him, no. As soon as I heard the voice, I know. I would have recognized his voice right away. So... basically what they did is they're like, okay, well, we're gonna, you know, escalate this with head office, and he'll be placed on leave until this is figured out. So it took them about 6 weeks before they fired him, but he wasn't allowed to work, and he was unfortunately on paid leave. Oh, no. But he was fired, and he was really upset with that, so he took it out on me.
But I mean, he did it to himself, like all these narcissists.
Yeah, because he tried to control me quite a bit, and like every time there was an issue, it was always my fault for some reason or somehow.
Yeah, that's narcissist.
And he was someone that was like constantly walking away from his responsibilities.
Yeah, but he was also trying to get you back.
Yeah.
Because
he tried to pull a cancer card on me.
Yeah.
I'm sick and, you know,
I'm dying. I have a couple weeks left. I remember that.
Yeah. And that's bullshit because I've seen him on the bus. He looks healthy as. Like, you know what? Suck a dick, dude. Like.
And he's like, oh, the cat died.
No, he was like, oh, I need money for this. And I was like, no. Like,
he was doing everything to lure you back into the apartment.
Exactly.
Like, everything.
Yeah, because I remember the day I left from that apartment was because I don't know if I'm actually supposed to...
It's up to you.
It just depends on how people... I mean, I think we already pretty much said there was a trigger warning for this. But he held me against a wall with a knife to my neck. Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember wanting to go and beat him up so bad. But you wouldn't let me.
No.
Which I didn't understand why. Because I would have gotten my posse.
Conflict.
I know, but I would have gotten my posse and we would have taken him down.
Even one of our brothers said that he would have taken a sock full of batteries to his head.
We're such gangsters. We haven't done it though.
Yeah.
Look at us. For the purpose of legal reasons, we did not do anything.
But he really went and got to certain extents. Like when he, held me to a wall with a knife to my neck. I remember calling you that day, and the next day when he went to work, you came over and we picked up we didn't even take all my stuff. I just took my clothing and my cats.
Yeah.
And we left.
Yeah, you stayed
there. He was pissed.
And we moved you out.
Yeah.
When he was at work too,
when he was at work, yeah.
Yeah, we took your cats. Yeah. We just left his cats.
Nope. I took all of the cats. And then he came back.
Didn't Tara stay?
No, I took her too because she was pregnant, remember?
Oh.
I didn't trust
him.
Yeah.
That's true. Tara's the cat, by the way.
Tara's a cat.
There's a cat. So, yeah, I remember, moving you out of there.
Yeah, and he constantly tried to reel me back in, whether it was with a cancer card or, at one point, I don't remember if I had told you about this, but I remember telling Jason that's why he wanted to take a sock full of batteries to his head.
Batteries? That's so specific.
That's our family.
Yeah.
But he was pretending like he knew Mom. He was talking bad about Mom.
How?
I don't remember what it was he had said, but he was saying things, and Jason had read some of the text messages, and he was so pissed. He was like, "That's not Mom. He's bullshit." Yeah. He was talking. I think he said like Mom was a drug addict or something, and like I don't know.
Where did he even come up with that?
Like, our mom passed away. I was young. I was like 3.
Yeah,
so I didn't know. So I was just feeling like all these emotions, and I remember showing them to Jason. Jason's like, "No, son of a I'm gonna,
like if there
take
was
a skull
any
out with the batteries."
pure human being on this planet, it was our mom.
Yeah.
So he obviously was just trying to manipulate you. Yeah. Yeah. How would that lure you back in though?
I don't know.
Like he's messed up. Like he's still
messed up. He's really messed up. But yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. I see his mom every once in a while because we ended up working in the same hospital.
Oh.
And she was fine with me.
Okay.
She didn't have any issues. She smiled and nodded.
I feel like a lot of parents know when their kids are messed up. It's just they can't really do anything. They have to still... I mean, it's nature to kind of want to protect your family. But yeah, we've had like these toxic relationships. But then after that one bad, like really bad experience for you, who did you meet?
I met my husband.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
He is.
Love him.
He's so innocent and pure. And
oh, he's so cute.
He's got like a child's heart. I like that about him.
Yeah.
And I hope that the next podcast is actually going to be us introducing you to them and how we met them.
That'd be fun.
And just a warning on my side, Pat, English is his third language. So same for us, actually, because he speaks French, Polish, and then English.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he was more comfortable with Italian and then English.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And for your husband, too.
Yeah, it's his second language. Mm-hmm. English is his second language.
And he probably learned it later, or how much later did he learn it?
I think in high school.
Yeah, that's very standard in Quebec here.
Yeah.
A lot of people try not to... Like, Quebec, for some reason, has this thing where you can't learn English too early. So a lot of people only learn it really in high school.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's going to be the next podcast. So just to show that we did have some great experiences, but we did have them toxic ones.
Oh, yeah, that toxic one was something.
Yeah. And I hope them all the worst.
Because even after he stopped, like, messaging me, well, obviously it's because I changed my phone number, he started emailing me, remember that?
Yeah, and then I had to say that you gave me your email.
He was emailing me every couple days.
Yeah, and then I emailed him back. I'm like, hey, I took control of this email.
Because it was crazy. Like, his emails were like...
I told him he was pathetic.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
and then he stopped emailing me.
I'm like, this is my email now.
Like, I never even answered those emails. That's the worst part. He just kept going. And some of the emails were like, hey, I miss you. And then the email after was like, I hope you never have a family. You're such a... You're such a... I was like... And then the email after is like, hope your cats are doing okay.
Oh my gosh. It's like, decide you hate me?
Yeah, and like just email after email for months and months. And then at one point, I was with you here when I was sick, and I got like 3 emails in the same day. And you're like, I'm not letting this happen.
This is my email address now. I'm taking it over, and I'm telling him he's pathetic.
And then he never messaged me again.
Never again.
Yeah.
I still have access to it, so.
Yeah.
You so.
Yeah.
I really do
and the
hope
cops
them the
have
worst.
all those emails too.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend I hope they have a great life. But you know what? Maybe I hope they have a great life with someone who's really possessive of them. And
some people need that.
Yeah.
Some people feel better in a relationship that's more trapped, you know?
Yeah. So I hope the best of the worst for them so they can stay out of our hair.
Yeah.
And with that said, hopefully we can continue just introduce you to our hubbies.
Yeah.
I'm Jackie.
And I'm Sika.
And thank you for listening to Coffee and Conversation. We will see you in the next podcast. Bye.